Good evening. I call this April 18th meeting of the Paducah Planning and Zoning Commission to order and ask that you please stand with us as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Summer, call the roll, please.
Benberry, Mr. Bradford,
Here.
Mr. Morrison,
Here.
Ms. Schramke,
Here.
Mr. Shadle,
Here.
Mr. Wade,
Here.
Chair Crecilius.
Here. Mr. Bradford, do you have the approval of the minutes motion?
I do. I move that the reading of the minutes for April 4, 2016 be waived and that the minutes of said meeting as prepared by the secretary be approved as written.
Second.
Second by Schramke. Corrections? Changes? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bradford,
Aye.
Mr. Morrison,
Aye.
Ms. Schramke,
Aye.
Mr. Shadle,
Aye.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Chair Crecilius.
Aye. At our last meeting, we tabled an item of business from the Urban Renewal and Community Development Agency at the request of that agency. They still have not resolved some issues, so I would entertain a motion that we continue that to the next date certain, which would be May the 2nd.
So moved.
So moved by Wade,
Second.
second by Shadle. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Mr. Bradford,
Aye.
Mr. Morrison,
Aye.
Ms. Schramke,
Aye.
Mr. Shadle,
Aye.
Chair Crecilius.
Aye. Ms. Schramke, you have the William and Jana Medlin
Thank you.
item.
I move that a resolution entitled, "A Resolution Constituting the Final Report of the Paducah Planning Commission on the Proposed Development Plan for Multiple Principal Structures Located at 2617 H.C. Mathis Drive," be adopted.
Second.
Second by Morrison.
What this is an 8x10 permanent snow cone stand. It's going to be 29 feet off H.C. Mathis Drive. Typically, we have widths that range anywhere from 22 to 24 feet for vehicular circulation along the roadway. There's plenty of circulation around it. Power will be the only utility, which they've got to get from Paducah Power from the pole right behind it. The tenant is here if y'all have any direct questions for them.
Come right on up. I'm going to ask you just a real quick question. He's saying that this is going to be a permanent structure, but I'm assuming you're probably not going to be making snow cones when there's snow on the ground, am I right?
Right.
So when do you estimate you'll be open from when, say...
It'll be a seasonal thing. As soon as spring hits till the fall seasons, November possibly, even maybe before that, August, depending on the heat type of thing. It's like I said, it's a seasonal type of business, so people don't want to buy snow cones when it's cold outside.
And because it's a permanent structure, how do you plan to secure the structure in the off months when you're not selling snow cones?
It can be wheeled and pulled away.
Oh, so it won't be permanently affixed to the...
It can be this wheeled and it can be tied down if need be, but it can be jacked up and had wheels put to it and pulled away if it needs to be.
It's like a mobile unit.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Do you have a name?
It's called Snowy.
Snowy.
Yes. It's a franchise out of Salt Lake City and Cincinnati. Would you like to see pictures of it?
Sure, do you have one?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, hold on one second. it's a little bit bigger than
Oh, it's
the
like a
small
little,
ones. It's not one of those.
more like this
It's not a
one.
cook building, yes. It's one of those, except it's a little bit longer.
Okay. Right this way.
Now, what is the thing right next to it? What is that?
That's an island for people to add their own flavor.
Okay, so
But we won't be having the islands working right now. We're just pour out of the inside of the building.
okay, so you'll just have this one unit.
Right, that's for like events and stuff.
Okay. And if they decide to have those islands at some point, will that need approval?
Um,
Shouldn't. Part of the,
no,
Right.
part of this development.
Run it,
Sir.
sir,
Can we come this way?
Sir.
sir.
Dang.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
That's nice.
she pointed to that one.
Now, when you say power is the only utility, you use water with this?
Yes, ma'am. We have a reservoir inside that, and a 3-sink unit for sterilization of our utensils. It's got its own, like I said, it's got its own water bin we can refill right from a business next door. I run a business next door as well, so right there on H.C. Mathis.
I was wondering how you were going to get the water there.
Yeah, we what happens is the bad water goes into a bucket, and then we have a sanitary water, potable water tank that holds 50 gallons, and then all the runoff goes into a sludge tank, and it can just be pulled out and drained anywhere.
And do you make your own ice, or do you merely crush up ice?
We're not going to be making our own ice. We'll order that.
Any other questions, comments?
So there's virtually nothing wet or anything around the facility? I mean, it's all contained
Yeah, it's all self-contained,
or
right?
something?
And like I said, the wastewater goes into a thing just like a camper would, that you would, pull to the drain and drain it.
Yep.
Any other comments? Call the roll, please.
Ms. Shramky,
Aye.
Mr. Shadle,
Aye.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Mr. Bradford,
Aye.
Mr. Morrison,
Aye.
Chair Cresilius.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Wade, you have the Ironworkers Local 782.
Yes, I move that this commission receive and file the application of Ironworkers Local Number 782 for the proposed re-subdivision of property located at 2501 and 2515 Arrow Road. I further move that the requested approval be given in compliance with all other applicable provisions of the Paducah subdivision ordinance be waived.
Second.
Second by Shadle.
This is a simple waiver to abolish 3 interior lot lines for a 28,157 square foot lot. And Mr. Wood is here for any questions, and he's brought a revised plat with staff's 4 comments in the staff report.
Just based on what I'm looking at, it's across the street and down from where the Ironworkers Hall is.
It's right beside it. Oh, okay, yes.
Doesn't look like, okay.
Yeah, it's down the street on the right-hand side, going out of town, yes.
So it's not an adjoining property to
No,
what they already have there?
no.
Okay.
And just to be absolutely clear, there's nothing on this property right now, correct?
That's correct.
Vacant lots. Okay.
She actually emailed me back and said she had a typo.
Okay,
Okay.
so it should be, it's not 2502 then? Okay. good, 'cause I was-
2501,
On the north side of the street, it's supposed to be an odd number,
Yes.
so,
Yeah.
okay.
Mr. Summers, are you satisfied it's all been met?
right.
We don't really have the updated
Yep.
plat with
Mr.
corrections
Wood's got
on
the,
it. He's got it, but. Any other questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Mr. Bradford,
Aye.
Mr. Morrison,
Aye.
Mr. Emke,
Aye.
Mr. Shadle,
Aye.
Chair Casillas.
Aye. Mr. Bradford, you have the CLA properties.
Yes. I move that this commission receive and file the application of CLA Properties LLC for a proposed ingress-egress easement located at 4710 and 4720 Village Square Drive. I further move that the requested approval be given and compliance with all other applicable provisions of the Paducah subdivision ordinance be waived.
Second.
Second by Morrison.
The intent of this plat is to establish that ingress, egress easement. It's going to have 12 feet on both sides of the property line to serve both properties.
I had a question regarding this. You've got Sea Park of Paducah where it runs back there. Are they going to be using this at all, dumping traffic out on Village Square?
No, not at all. It's, the intent is just for owners of Track 3A and 3B.
Just,
So will that be noted anywhere on the plat that there's not access?
Yeah, it is. It's in the intent, the intent note. The intent is to create the 24-foot wide reciprocal ingress egress easement as shown for the sole benefit of the owners of Tracks 3A and 3B, which provides reciprocal access to and from.
okay.
So it's just back and forth to each lot.
And this does connect to those new apartments that are there?
No, it does not.
That's what we were just talking about.
No, I mean, they are behind it. Okay, but it does not connect to them.
And the easement does touch the property line, but it's not for their purposes at all. Just for the owners of Track 3A and 3B.
Will there be some kind of barrier? Will there be a connecting road? I
House?
mean-
There won't be anything connecting.
Okay,
Yeah, that's my question.
It was mine too.
exactly.
Yeah, we've actually got a site plan. It's already been submitted to planning and zoning and engineering, and it shows the drive aisle, and it stops shy of the property line.
Okay.
The drive aisle curves before it hits the Sea Park property, so it's just grass between that and the drive aisle and the road.
Is it like a cul-de-sac or is it curving around?
It curves around the back of the building,
Okay.
correct?
Okay.
And how far from the corner is the center point of this easement? It looks like it may be 135 feet. Is that correct?
That's the distance from the center of the easement to where that curve starts on that property line. Then you got another
Okay.
20 feet or so
I was going to say
part of that curve.
in the back, it's 175 feet, isn't it?
Correct.
I just was curious about distance from the intersection for what's going to end up being a potentially, could there be a curb cut there for?
Actually, the intent of doing this, there's going to be separate buildings built on Track 3A and 3B, and the owners kind of got together, saying, hey, let's build a drive that we both could share that would make one curb cut instead of potentially needing two, just knowing that would probably, the engineering department would like that.
Well, in your site plan, do you have curb cuts on Perkins Creek Drive?
There will be one shown. Right now, the only site plan we've submitted is for Track 3A. 3B will remain vacant, but when it is submitted down the road, could be a few months, could be a year, I don't know. We do have one over at the lower right corner connecting to Perkins Creek Drive.
But my whole point of questioning that was that it is adequate distance from the intersection to that potential curb cut. It looks like it's well over 135 feet.
Correct.
So if they have the center thing for both of them to use, why would there be another curb cut on Perkins Creek?
Well, that's a corner lot, so, theoretically, they can get a curb cut to both streets.
It's also a very narrow street right there, and it's, it's going to be busy. But anyway, we'll address that when it comes.
For that lot, all that'll be submitted is just a site plan for that. Whenever we have a site plan for an individual corner lot like that, engineering reviews, curb cuts, and things of that
Good.
nature.
Traffic count and all that other sort of thing.
Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bradford,
Aye.
Mr. Morrison,
Aye.
Ms. Shramky,
Aye.
Mr. Shadle,
Aye.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Chair Cresilius.
Aye. Mr. Morrison, you have HFT Enterprises.
Yes, ma'am. I move that this commission receive and file the application of HFT Enterprises LLC for the proposed re-subdivision of property located at 3675 James Sanders Boulevard. I further move that the requested approval be given in compliance with all other applicable provisions of the Paducah subdivision ordinance be waived.
Second?
Second by Wade, I'm sorry.
This is just to establish a brand-new property line to subdivide off one tract to sell, and I'm assuming the current owner is going to retain one.
That's correct.
I've noticed that you have also included the new right-of-way for Olivet Church Road, which I was wondering about that as far as the widening of the road and how that was going to affect, but you've got it in here, so. So you've made all the changes to the plat as they were requested?
Yeah, we've got all of them addressed.
Any other questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Morrison,
Aye.
Ms. Shramky,
Aye.
Mr. Shadle,
Aye.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Mr. Bradford,
Aye.
Chair Cresilius.
Aye. Mr. Shadle, you have the City of Paducah public hearing on the zoning text amendment.
Yes.
And this would be section 126-106, which is item 5, actually.
1-5. Okay. I move that resolution entitled "A Resolution Constituting the Final Report of the Paducah Planning Commission on the Proposed Text Amendment of the Paducah Zoning Ordinance by amending Section 126-106, Convenience and Service Zone B1 be adopted."
Second.
Second by Morrison. We've had a request from the planning department that we table this motion until our next meeting, which would be May the 2nd. And so I would entertain a motion that we table this item of business, we actually table this public hearing until our next meeting.
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Wade and second by Shadle. So we are voting to table the motion, to table the public hearing. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Mr. Bradford,
Aye.
Mr. Morrison,
Aye.
Ms. Shramky,
Aye.
Mr. Shadle,
Aye.
Chair Casillas.
Aye. Now, Mr. Shadle, you have another item.
Oh, I do.
Please.
Slight change. I move that a resolution entitled, "A Resolution Constituting the Final Report of the Paducah Planning Commission on the Proposed Text Amendment of the Paducah Zoning Ordinance by amending Section 126-108 Downtown Business Town Lift Zone, B2T, be adopted."
Second.
Second by Wade. Again, we have a request to table this motion until our next meeting, May the 2nd. There are some items that need to be worked out, and this will, again, be a public hearing that is being tabled to the next meeting. So I would entertain a motion that we table this public hearing.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Bradford,
Second.
and second by Shadle. Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bradford,
Aye.
Mr. Morrison,
Aye.
Ms. Shramky,
Aye.
Mr. Shadle,
Aye.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Chair Casillas.
Aye. Is there any other business to come before the commission tonight? If not, we stand adjourned.